Hi Rosalie, thanks for joining us during Restructuring Week.
Hi Julie.
I'd be interested to hear from you today about whether you're seeing any trends developing in the market and if you've seen any significant cases playing out those trends.
Yeah, sure. I think certainly there's some trends in the recent cases. Perhaps I start with more a sector perspective. So I think the retail and consumer markets are facing a very challenging times at the moment. I think there's a number of reasons for that. Because of the changes in the consumers' behaviors and the competitive market landscape, as a result of like the online shoppings and e-commerce platforms, I think the traditional operation models for a lot of retailers no longer works in the nowadays situations. So they actually need to reinvent or transform their operation model in order to survive. And what happens globally in the markets like the China-US trade war and also like what happened in Hong Kong have not helped them at all. So you can see a lot of the big international names, the brands have been suffering. So they have been going through restructuring and downsizing their operations in Hong Kong, for example, like Forever 21.
Yeah.
So I think in this kind of situations, it's very hard for them. And you even see some of the brands disappearing or completely gone in Hong Kong. So recently, we are working with our UK and Singapore team, trying to restructure Jet Wheels, a very long established UK fashion brand. So they have been suffering for a long time. So we tried to help them to sell the business, and we successfully sell the business through Sports Direct, which fortunately we saved 1,700 jobs in UK. But the buyer are not interested in running the operations in Asia. So it ends up our team and Singapore teams have to shut down all the shops in Hong Kong and Singapore, liquidate those companies. So it's a shame. But I think what I see would be these trends would continue, and the challenge that the retails and consumer markets are facing is going to be continue for a while. Maybe we will see more and more these types of restructuring case in the coming months.
So is this a prediction for where the market's headed more generally?
I can say that's more like a prediction. It's not just for the next few months. I think even for 2020, it looks like that's going to be continued for a while. Because I think the whole retail and consumer market has changed significantly, and I think the uncertainty in the global environment has made the trading very, very difficult and challenging. And on top of that, I would also like to share another observations that in the recent cases, on top of the sector, I think in Hong Kong market, we have also seen an increased number of stress or distress situations with a lot of China elements from both the company side and the creditor sides. I think there are more and more Chinese bank, either commercial, investment bank, or even policy banks. They've been actively exploring options to exit and recover their assets. So we have been approached by a large number of them to help them to enforce a lot of security. I'm sure you come across situations like that, right? So those securities can be listed common shares or had assets like hotel or land. But often I think what we find is on the face of it, these companies' names are quite big. So in theory, they should have quite meaningful assets for us to work together to realize for the benefit of creditors. But unfortunately, often the case is there's a lot of fraud and dishonesty involved. I'm sure you come across a situation like that. So it ends up a lot of the asset has been stripped before the IP or the professional have been involved. So by the time
that makes any sort of restructuring very difficult.
Very challenging in that. So we have very limited options because we don't have resources and there's little monies in the company for us to pursue recovery through litigations or through other means. So we have a couple of cases recently. So a lot of our focus in the initial parts of our work is actually seeking litigation funding. So it's not an ideal situation, but I think that's fact. Maybe I would say the lessons for us or the creditors to learn is it's not a new lesson, but I think we need to remind ourselves that the importance of the speed to move quickly, to take recovery actions is always very crucial for these types of restructuring in this part of the world because you can't really rely on the directors to do the right things.
And that's getting the stakeholders to buy in on the process as well.
Great.
So thanks for joining us today, Rosalie. It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you.